Tell us a little bit about Came. Where does that come from? What does it mean? And how did it come about?
Okay. Came was a ancient form of encircling prayer, of protection. Back in the 6th century, Celtic times, in Scotland I know of anyway. David Adam from Lindisfarne wrote a Came prayer: "Circle me, Lord, keep protection near, keep danger afar. Circle me, Lord, keep light within, keep darkness out," etc., etc. Jacinth Hamill from Belfast and myself started singing together to actually record David's music. David asked me if I would set some of his prayers to music, and I couldn't do it, and Jacinth could, and so we thought we worked together on that. I'm losing track of my thought here.
So you started doing that, and tell me then, that's important, the Celtic music. And I think I have learned one thing, that Australia has a lot of people from Scotland, a lot of people from Ireland here. So Celtic music is well received by people here in Australia.
Yeah, we found that as we've gone around. Pauline's now working with me instead of Jacinth overseas, because Jacinth had some heart surgery a few years ago, so she can't do the long haul travels now. At home we work the trio. And
was Celtic music influential for you in the development of your own music?
Very much so, yeah. I went back to, I lived in Scotland. I grew up in Australia part of my life, and when I went back to Scotland, I just heard this music and I thought, it's in me. I just loved it. I love that music. I want more of that music. I could hear the tune sets and the songs and everything on. It was on Folk On 2, actually, on BBC 2. I was listening to that. And, yeah.
Tell me, if you can, in some sentences yourself, why is Celtic music important, significant, attractive, compelling for some people? What is it about it that makes it different? What is it about the words, the thoughts, the prayers? What makes that different?
Well, if we're talking Celtic Christian here as opposed, or not just Celtic music, the Celtic Christianity, God was in everything. God was in lighting the fire. They had the prayers for lighting the fire, prayers for getting up in the morning, prayers for taking the sheep out or the cows out to the pasture, that kind of thing, you know. And music was an integral part of it. An original Celtic ceilidh had songs, which were, in our terms, spiritual or secular, but in their terms, they were just songs. You know, they sang about God all the time. They sang about other things. There's no differentiation. God was in every part of their lives.
So sacred and secular are concepts that are unknown because it's all one, isn't it?
Yeah, in Celtic Christianity, yeah.
And do you find that in your own songs, that's something that you particularly focus on?
It is, yeah. When we did our first CD for David, back in whenever it was, 1990s, the producer then tried to get us to do only Christian lyrics. And it wasn't what my ethos was, wasn't what my vision was to do. And eventually, finally, we managed to do a Came ceilidh that had both in. Yeah, so. CD.
I'm familiar with the term ceilidh for a dance in the northeast of England and Scotland.
I know. It's used for those terms as well now. But the ceilidh can also be a mixture of dance, song, story, poem, whatever.
And it's an enjoyable experience, isn't it?
It's a get together. It's all the people coming together. Especially if you think about the islands, Hebridean Islands, for instance, of Scotland.
Yes.
Their lives were hard. Their lives were, in the cottages, getting the animals in and everything else, dealing with bad weather and everything. There's no television, there's no radio. They got together in their homes and they had a ceilidh. Yeah, so and the music that they had back then was it's just in my blood somehow. I don't know why, but it is. Yeah.
So tell us about Australia. Whereabouts have you been in Australia, and when on this tour, where are the kind of places you're going?
This tour, we've been in Brisbane. We sang in St Paul's in Brisbane, and both church service, and also we did a concert there, and it was partly fundraiser for the church. Where else did we sing? We sang in Folk Redlands at a folk club. We sang in The Bug, which is also a folk club, an acoustic folk club. We went north to Cairns, and where we were met off the plane and taken straight to Kuranda. It's a big mountain. We probably know this, Bianca. Yeah,
Sure.
we had to go with Mount to Kuranda, and our next gig was on a riverboat going up the river through the rainforest, and it was really surreal. We sat on this river and sang songs about the Isle of Skye.